horrible news happens all the time, but recently there was a rash of bizarre criminal cases that led so many people to discuss zombie-type crimes and the causes behind them. We're going to talk a little bit deeper about this with our Chief Assistant State Attorney, Manny Madruga. Manny, thank you for being with me this morning.
You're welcome, Jenna.
Okay, Manny, you couldn't turn on the news recently without hearing the word zombie.
Yes.
Why was that?
It's really a strange phenomenon. You ended up having a couple of cases. The most significant one is the one involving the individual, Rudy Eugene, in Miami. That occurred exactly 1 month ago. And because Mr. Eugene was in this psychosis where he was actually eating the flesh off of a man's face and didn't stop doing it when the police were warning him they had to shoot him and kill him. And it was so bizarre that people were shocked by it, and it got national media attention.
And now this case, I mean, after this case in Miami, there were cases throughout the country though, right?
And that's what has created the interest, and it's very bizarre. So after you had that case, you had a couple of more cases in South Florida. You had an individual that was arrested for a very simple crime. He was acting bizarre, so disorderly conduct, and then he attempted to growl and bite at the officers and then didn't remember anything when he appeared in court the following day. You had another recent case in Manatee County here in Florida where a man stripped naked and went into his ex-wife's home and attacked her current boyfriend, bit his arm, and was also acting in a very bizarre fashion. You had a major case in Maryland where a man killed his roommate and ate his heart and his brain, and another one in Canada where a man killed his lover, dismembered the body, had sex with the body, mailed parts of the body to politicians in Canada. So, I mean, people look at these offenses and they're shocked, and they were wondering if there was some kind of zombie pandemic going on in the world.
But what are the causes behind these cases, Manny?
Many of these cases are suspected to be the result of bath salts, and I know I had done a previous segment on that. These drugs create a situation that the intensity of the high is such that it does cause this type of psychosis and raised body temperature where you're seeing the clothes removed and you're seeing this bizarre psychotic behavior. There is still more study to be done. I know that in Mr. Eugene's case, the toxicology isn't final as of today, but they did find undigested pills in his stomach when they did the autopsy. And there's also been other cases where specifically the one that involved the individual trying to bite the officer, that he was under the influence of what's known as Cloud 9, which is another one of those bath salt types of cases. So they're starting to find a correlation, or at least they strongly suspect that in many of these cases, you're dealing with the complications of bath salts. There is not a viral pandemic of people becoming zombies, even though there has been a hysteria about that.
Yeah, it's kind of silly almost, isn't it? Like the whole hysteria about the zombies, and you know, the images that our viewers can see behind us, these are zombies, and people really think this is happening.
Well, it was a funny coincidence because what led up to this was that the CDC, our Center for Disease Control here in the United States, that has an incredibly significant worldwide reputation for fighting viruses and diseases, actually, to help people prepare for legitimate pandemics that might be bird flu or swine flu, created a comical manual about how to protect yourself, which was based on a zombie pandemic, because it's a similar premise that you have to have supplies and be able to stay inside to avoid contact with other people. But since they had created that, and then these kind of cases started happening and people went to the CDC and they saw the manual, some people actually were under the impression that there was some type of zombie pandemic, and the CDC, believe it or not, actually had to issue an official statement that there is no viral zombie pandemic. But it just goes to show sometimes how the criminal justice system can have, through a handful of cases, some significant sociological effect on society.
It's kind of humorous, it is.
It's very humorous.
Yeah.
You know, the cases themselves are very tragic, and they point out to another significant problem that does exist. The good thing is that people are working on identifying it and educating and criminalizing the distribution of the bath salts, and hopefully through the enforcement and prosecution, we'll stop seeing zombie cases.
Right, right. And now we're running out of time, but I know there's a lot of misconceptions about bath salts, Manny. I mean, what exactly are bath salts?
The primary misconception that I hear from folks is that they think that bath salts were a legitimately created item that then turned into an abused item. These items were created synthetically for the purpose of being ingested as a drug. These were not legitimate products that actually were used to modify water for baths or to purify water in fish tanks. They're sold under those false labels. These were always intended to be synthetic drugs, and that's the primary misconception that folks have about the bath salt situations. Just like the spice was created for the same purpose.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all of this with us this morning, and I think you made everybody feel a little bit safer knowing that there aren't zombies out there, right?
Yeah, there's no zombies out there, at least no real ones.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. We're going to take a quick break, everyone. I'll be right back after this.